you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. It is Mental Health Day today, and none other to speak than with Dr. Alina Williams, a clinical psychologist. And this morning we're speaking about mental health and suicide. We have seen in Trinidad and Tobago where the numbers for suicide seems to be increasing, and so we want to have the conversation this morning to talk us through, the impact of suicide, why people commit suicide, are there signs to look for, and so we welcome you this morning to have this very, very important conversation.
Thank you for having me, and happy World Mental Health Day to everyone in Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much, and I see you wearing your green to represent.
Yes.
I try to put as much green as possible in my outfit, right? So I want to start off by talking about suicide, because we're seeing now, especially with the recent incident that took place there in Trinidad, and last week also there was another report of an incident of suicide, seeming to be mostly males, young men. What is the cause? I know sometimes people have the conversations and they say, but they could have talked to somebody. Right. Why did they do that? And sometimes the signs are there, and we ignore them, or we say you're gonna be all right. And what is that thing that leads the person, that pushes them over the edge to say, I can't do this anymore, and just decide to end it for themselves?
Okay, so suicide is the act of intentionally causing one's own death, and we have suicide attempt, which is non-lethal, but the intention is again to take your life. And we've noticed recently that there is an uptick in suicide rates in Trinidad and Tobago, globally, but in Trinidad and Tobago. If I could just read out where we stand currently. In 2019, our suicide rate, we had 92 suicides for that year. In 2020, 104. In 2021, 128. In 2022, we had 142. In 2023, we had 154 suicides. And of course, there are many more that go unreported. So we are seeing a steady trend. Suicide is so complex, and the reason for it is so complex. The risk factors is what we try to look at to determine somebody's likelihood of engaging in suicide attempts or behavior. And those may be things from previous history of mental illness, previous suicide attempts, substance use, bullying, poverty, loss of job, economic stress, relationship failure. It's really dynamic and wide-reaching.
Oh dear. Just listening to that list, I feel a little tear jerking this morning just to think that because people carry so many things that sometimes go undetected. And, sometimes tragically it ends the way it ends. And, as again, going back to the recent suicides that took place here in Trinidad and Tobago with this young man, as a result of bullying, which is a topic that we have to bring back to the forefront. And to see the relationship between bullying and the suicide. So I want to talk a little bit about that in terms of what is the relationship between the two, and as I said, the thing that would cause the person to think, I'm being bullied. I can't face myself, because sometimes you feel as if you failed yourself. Being bullied, I should be able to stand up for myself. I saw some social media posts just this week, I think talking about the same matter with Jaden, and people are saying, when I went to school, nobody could bully me. I could stand for myself. And some people might be thinking, I should be able to do the same. And I'm not sure if they're thinking, well, if I can't, then maybe I'm a failure. I don't know if those are some of the things that lead to somebody who is being bullied ending up taking their own life.
So with suicide, as I said, it's so complex, but essentially the person develops a very myopic view of the world. So you see just the problem in front of you, and you don't see the options around you. You lack resources to cope with what's happening. It's unfortunate that bullying has changed in terms of its quality, because I could say in school, people teased me for being short, they teased me for other things, but the quality of bullying has changed, and we also now have digital bullying, so there's cyberbullying, and cyberbullying means that the bullying extends beyond when you are in school from 8 to 3.
It means that they can reach you now wherever
you are. Even in your home, in the safety of your home, you can still be bullied, and it's viewed by much more people. So there's that. We know that bullying has a significant emotional impact on people. It is an extremely distressing event for the person, and essentially it leads to feelings of worthlessness, depression, and anxiety, which in and of themselves are risk factors for suicide. It also leads to social isolation because the victims of bullying tend to be ostracized from their peers. The other people may feel like, I don't want to associate with them. I want to be with the cool kids. And so there is ostracism, there is repeated trauma. So again, the bullying of today is very different in terms of the quality of it than the bullying of before. And the trauma instilled on these children now is quite different. On top of that, there is the perceived lack of support. And this is the important part, because as a victim of bullying, it's one thing that you experience this emotional distress, but it's another thing that you experience it. You reach out to the relevant authorities, you reach out to your parents, the teachers, the principal, people that may be in higher authority, and nothing is done. And when you see that nothing is being changed, it instills a feeling of hopelessness, and hopelessness is one of the highest predictors of suicide attempts. So you could see that even though bullying is not directly linked to suicide, it's intrinsically woven into it. And so you increase your risk for suicide when there is bullying that is not mitigated.
Oh dear.
And could I also add, we are seeing in Trinidad and Tobago that the highest number of suicide attempts are actually occurring in people between the ages of 15 to 19. So these are the highest attempts, right? And in terms of male-female, it's significantly higher for men than for women. So we have to take stock of the fact that our young people are really in distress.
Yeah, and young people and young men, and it is very, very frightening because we're wondering, where are we going? Are we providing the measure of support that we need to provide for these young people? And not just young people, but primarily young people, because as you said, the age group is 15 to 19. And you're seeing, and this is because this is the peer pressure age group, right?
Correct.
You go to school and somebody has on a Nike and you don't have on a Nike. And of course you get bullied for that because your parents poor.
Yes. And at that age, you are trying to figure out yourself and you want to fit in. We all have a need to belong. That's just inherent. It's intrinsic. But for children especially, they want to fit in. They want to belong to the peers that are popular. They want to feel included. And when you are not, it's a huge blow to your self-esteem and your outlook on life in general.
What are some of the things that you can do to reduce the possibility of bullying?
So the management of bullying really has to be done from an individual, community, family, societal, politics level. It is really far-reaching. We can't just say that there's one thing that needs to be done. The schools have to take responsibility. Educators, parents need to examine how they are instilling values into their children, because an aspect of bullying is that it's learned behavior. You learn and you repeat or you replicate what you see around you. So we have to look at that. But what I would say from my perspective is really important is that there should be clear policies in place about how to treat with bullying or how to treat with problematic behaviors at school. And these policies need to be enforced. And I think that is where we are lacking. We have policies that may be outlined, but they're not being enforced. For the most part, bullies are reinforced for their behavior. You are a bully and you become cool. You should not be reinforced for your behavior. In fact, if you're a bully, you should be ostracized. People should not want to associate with you. But instead, bullies are allowed to carry out their behavior without consequences. The consequences are often not immediate, and if there are consequences, they are not commensurate with what the person has done. And so there is no punishment for the behavior, and it will perpetuate.
And I totally agree with you, especially when you said when you are a bully, you seem to be like, I'm the cool person, I'm the cool kid, nobody could mess with me.
That's right.
And that's why we see so many things happening on the streets as well,
Yes.
with young men toting weapons because now they're cool.
Yes.
And people want to join them.
Yeah.
And it really is a scary position where we are. And you're talking about enforcement, and we always speak on this program about enforcement of the law as well.
Yeah.
Because as you said, there might be policy guidelines, but who is being held accountable?
That's
Are we
right.
holding these people accountable? Are we enforcing the laws? Are we ensuring that the things we set up to keep everyone safe, are they being implemented? And this is something that I really want to speak to, the enforcement of the policies and the laws that are set out to ensure that we live in a safe space here on the island of Tobago, wherever we are, because these are things that affect and impact all of us as we reside, wherever we reside, and we want to ensure, because when you look at statistics, and I want to go to the United States, a young guy with a machine gun, as they call them, and you go and you spray up a whole school, and then nothing happens to this young guy. You know, nothing happens to him.
The consequences need to be immediate and they need to be swift. What happens is we give the bully so much leeway. You know, is we talk and we talk and we talk and we talk and nothing changes. And in the meantime, the victim is suffering. Bullies need to be met with consequences immediately following their behavior once it's reported. And these consequences need to be enforced and they need to be consistent. Schools, teachers, educators, etc. need to ensure that the bully can see a direct link between I did X and Y is the consequence. And so that consistency means that the bully can now link the repercussions of his or her behavior.
And you know, while you were talking there, I'm thinking of a bully creating a bully, because if I am being bullied, then I'm thinking that I have to toughen up myself and become a bully as well, because that's the only way I can be cool, the only way I can be respected, and nothing is going to happen to me.
And it's unfortunate that it has to come to that, because I remember being asked a question similar about how would you treat with bullying. And you know, on those cartoons, they'll have the devil and the angel. So I felt like I had the parent response and the professional response. Like how I would respond as a professional may be different to how I would respond as a parent.
That's right.
Now, you know, if my son was being bullied, I can't say that I would
be professional,
you know, and think about learned behavior. It's really unfortunate that sometimes you have to now resort to the same violence to protect yourself, but that would not need to be the case if the persons responsible for creating a safe environment do what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely. And as we're talking about bullying and mental health, we know today is Mental Health Day. You know, what's the theme for this year? What are the activities surrounding mental health in terms of awareness, letting people know what is happening and the type of support that is available for them here in the Tobago space?
Okay, so as you said, today is World Mental Health Day and it's celebrated every year on the 10th of October. The theme this year is it's time to prioritize mental health in the workplace. And this theme was selected by participants from 161 countries who held a vote. So it means that people are recognizing that the workplace is a very toxic environment. People are experiencing stress, an enormous amount of stress and burnout due to work. And it's unfortunate because most of us spend a long time preparing for the world of work. You know, we go to school and we look forward to building a career, only to sometimes be met with an environment that actually takes away from us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. So the workplace environment is becoming one that's difficult. Burnout is on the increase, low productivity, high rates of presenteeism and absenteeism. And so the World Federation for Mental Health felt like we needed to address this issue. I know that the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Tobago Regional Health Authority and the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, will be hosting its Paint the Town Green campaign at the Lowlands Mall today, starting at 10:30. They will be having a mental health village. And the aim of this village is to just look at different areas that are related to mental health and how it impacts your emotional well-being. And for people to access the services on the island or to become aware of the services on the island. So definitely through the Tobago Regional Health Authority and the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, people can access counseling, people can access treatment, assessment, management for mental health conditions. But also if you're a government employee, there's the EAP, the Employee Assistance Program, and it's a wonderful thing to access. We have access to, I believe, 6 to 8 sessions yearly. So even if you are not experiencing a mental illness, you can still go to these sessions just to ensure that your mental health is well maintained.
And it is absolutely very, very important because, you know, as an adult, a lot of demands are made on you. You're expected to be, whether it's a husband, a wife, a mother, a father, you know, you have to be a good employee, or if you're an employer, you have to provide something for your employees, you know. And so the demands are very, very high. And of course, you have to keep up with what is happening, the trends globally and even in your local spaces. So the demands are high. And I want to encourage all of Tobago to go out today to the Lowlands Mall to get the information. Even if you don't feel as if you are stressed or you are challenged with your mental health or your mental stability, your mental space, the information would be there today. Should you need to have a contact number, if you feel depressed, if you feel as if something is just too much for you, go out there, get the information for future reference. You can't go wrong with having the information. You can't go wrong with having access to the support that is needed at this time in your life. You never can tell. Even if you don't need it personally, there might be someone who you can refer to them. And we've seen the flyer here on the screen, Sip and Paint Art Therapy. There's so many different things that are going to be taking place there today that can just, you know, relieve your stress, you know, and you can just relax and, you know, just get the information. Let's just get the information.
Yes. We really need to destigmatize mental health, and raising awareness about mental health conditions is so important because mental illnesses actually represent a significant global disability, you know, and in the workplace, the U.S. estimates that at least $1 trillion are lost per year because of mental health conditions. There are 20 billion days that are lost in productivity just because of depression and anxiety. So we need to start seeing mental health as serious as physical illness, and even more because we can't detect it easily.
You know, I wish we had more time to continue this conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Alina Williams, for coming on this morning and talking us through bullying and mental health and the importance to get that measure of support in our daily lives. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Dr. Alina Williams, clinical psychologist, talking about bullying and mental health, and we do hope that you were able to get the information. We hope that you were able to listen to the conversation and, you know, to get a better understanding of what mental health is, what bullying is, the support that is there, and, you know, even how to detect the things that would lead you to stress and how to cope with it therein. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations this morning, and as we go for a break, we invite you to help us share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.